Somewhere right now, a group of kids are standing in a dark bathroom. The lights are off, the door is locked, and one of them is about to say a name 3 times into a mirror. You already know which name, but here's the question nobody asks. Where did this actually come from? Not the ritual itself, but the fear behind it, the specific details, the mirror, the darkness, the number of times you repeat the name. Why does it feel so ancient, so deeply embedded, like it was always there? Because in a way, it was. The story of Bloody Mary isn't one story, it's 4. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this legend has survived for centuries. And why, when you stand in front of a dark mirror long enough, something genuinely strange begins to happen. Welcome to Myth Archive. Almost every version of the ritual shares the same core elements: a dark room, a mirror, and her name, repeated 3 times, 5 times, 13. Some versions say you need a candle. Some say you need to spin. Some say you need to say, "I killed your baby," which will make sense later. What she looks like when she appears changes depending on who you ask. A rotting corpse, an old witch, a young girl covered in blood. Sometimes she just stares. Sometimes she claws at your face. In older versions, she shows you your future husband. That last one is the clue that cracks everything open. But first, who is she? The most common answer you'll find online: Queen Mary I of England. And on the surface, it seems obvious. The nickname fits. The history is dark enough, but the truth is more complicated and far more tragic. Mary Tudor became queen in 1553. Within 2 years, she had signed the orders that would earn her that nickname forever. An estimated 280 Protestant men and women were burned alive at the stake during her reign. Bloody Mary. But her connection to blood ran deeper than executions. Mary suffered from what historians now believe was endometriosis or uterine cancer, causing extreme, unexplained bleeding. In an era that understood nothing about women's health, this made her seem cursed. Her life reads like a tragedy designed by someone cruel. She started as her father Henry VIII's beloved daughter. Then he decided to divorce her mother, Catherine of Aragon. The Catholic Church refused, so Henry did the unthinkable. He changed England's entire religion just to get what he wanted. Overnight, Mary went from princess to servant, stripped of her title, forced to work as a babysitter to her newborn half-sister, Elizabeth. When she finally became queen, she was married off to Philip of Spain, a man who spent most of their marriage in other countries, who never loved her. Mary desperately wanted a child, and for months it seemed like she was finally going to have one. Her belly swelled. She felt movement. She prepared. She waited. There was no baby. She died at 42. Childless, largely unloved, remembered only for the blood she spilled. But here's the thing. There is no historical evidence that anyone was chanting Mary's name into mirrors during or after her lifetime. The connection to the bathroom ritual appears to be modern, probably invented because the nickname was just too perfect to ignore. So if it wasn't her, who was it? There's another historical figure whose story fits the legend far more literally. Elizabeth Bathory, Hungarian noblewoman, born 1560, and possibly the most prolific female murderer in recorded history. Left alone in her castle while her husband fought wars, Elizabeth became obsessed with youth. She believed that bathing in the blood of young virgin girls would keep her beautiful. Court records describe torture chambers, cells full of dying women, instruments of unimaginable cruelty. The official count: over 600 young women murdered. When the daughters of nobility started disappearing, her own cousin led an investigation. What they found inside that castle ended her. She was sealed alive inside her own chambers, small slits in the walls for food and air, and lived like that for 4 years. Elizabeth Bathory's story spread across Europe and became the foundation of countless vampire legends. The idea of someone beautiful and monstrous who consumes others to stay young. Her name alone became something people were afraid to say aloud. Sound familiar? But neither of them was named Mary, which brings us to the figure most directly connected to the ritual itself: Mary Worth. She exists somewhere between history and legend. Some versions place her in colonial America, others in medieval Europe. According to the most common version, Mary Worth lived on the edge of a small village in the 1600s. She was what people called a wise woman, an herbalist, a healer, the kind of woman who lived alone in the forest and knew things others didn't. But Mary Worth's story turns dark. She became obsessed with youth, and she targeted children. She would lure them to her cottage with promises of sweets, something to see. Once inside, they didn't come back. When children began disappearing from the village, suspicion fell on the woman at the edge of the forest. A mob formed. They dragged Mary Worth from her home, accused her of witchcraft and murder, and burned her at the stake. But as the flames took her, she screamed a curse. She would return from the dead if anyone was foolish enough to speak her name, and those who summoned her would face the same fate as the children she had killed. This is why the ritual involves mirrors. In her legend, mirrors are portals, doorways her spirit can use to cross back into the living world. This is why the ritual is almost always performed by children and teenagers, the exact demographic Mary Worth supposedly preyed upon. Here's the twist that changes everything. Long before Mary Worth, long before Elizabeth Bathory, long before Queen Mary I, young women were already performing mirror rituals in the dark, not to summon something evil, to find love. In an era when women had almost no control over their futures, when marriages were arranged, when love was secondary to financial security, girls desperately wanted any glimpse of what was coming. The ritual was simple. Late at night, a young woman would light a single candle, walk backward through the house, and stand before a mirror, hoping to see not her own face, but the face of the man she would one day marry. Hope, candlelight, mirrors, darkness. The expectation of seeing another face looking back. Sound familiar? But the ritual came with a warning. Some girls would see something else entirely. Not a husband's face, but a skull, or the hooded figure of death. Somewhere along the way, as Christianity spread and divination was condemned as sinful, the ritual transformed. The beloved face became a monstrous one. What had once been hope became something you dared your friends to do in a dark bathroom. So why does the ritual feel like it works? In 2010, a researcher named Giovanni Caputo decided to actually test it. He placed 50 volunteers alone in a dimly lit room, one 25-watt bulb, about as bright as a nightlight, with one instruction: stare into a mirror for 10 minutes and report everything you see. The results were striking. 66% of participants saw major distortions of their own face. 28% saw the face of a complete stranger. Another 28% saw ancient, archetypal faces. An old woman, a child, something that felt primordial. 18% saw the faces of their parents, some of whom were already dead. And 48%, nearly half, saw what they described as monstrous beings. Twisted, inhuman faces staring back from the glass. These weren't vague impressions. Participants described them as vivid, detailed, real. What's happening is this. Your brain's facial recognition system requires good lighting and clear visual information to work properly. In dim light, staring at a motionless reflection, that system starts to break down. Your brain stops recognizing the face as yours and starts filling in the gaps. It reaches into memory, into fear, into expectation, and starts constructing something. The face you see often reflects what you were already thinking about. Someone anxious might see something menacing. Someone who just heard the story of Bloody Mary might see exactly what they were afraid of seeing. The mirror doesn't summon anything, but your own mind, in the right conditions, absolutely will. So what is Bloody Mary really? She's a queen who died childless and unloved, whose nickname was too perfect to leave alone. She's a countess who bathed in blood to stay young. She's a village witch whose name became a curse. She's the dark shadow of a romantic ritual that generations of young women used to glimpse their futures. And she's the thing your own brain conjures when you give it a dark mirror and a reason to be afraid. The next time someone dares you to say her name 3 times, you'll know you're not just playing a game. You're participating in something that's been passed down for centuries. A ritual that started with hope, became fear, and never quite disappeared. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to Myth Archive And let me know in the comments, have you ever done the ritual? What did you see?